Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. Let's talk about meditation. What is meditation? We are told to meditate in so many spiritual approaches. We are told to meditate. There are so many different ways to go about it, so many techniques, so many methods. But then there are spiritual teachers that say, no, 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 don't use any method. Brings you away from meditation. And then there are all these sophisticated, prescribed blueprints where you can go step by step, doing one exercise after another, and slowly progressing within the framework of that structure. Actually, it doesn't matter at all whether we use or we don't use a method. What matters is that we somehow convince our attention not to go round and round in circles in the mind about something or other, but bring the attention to that simple fact of being consciously alive here now. Connect with that, relax in that. Those who can just silently sit and do just that and need not do anything else. But if somebody is attracted to certain paths, certain methods to go about it, nothing wrong with using those methods, going faithfully, step by step ahead. But always remember that which really matters is that method helps us to redirect the attention from our mental obsessions about things, about our story, about anything. Bring this attention back to the essence, that sense of presence, that sense of being alive now. And then stay with that as good as you can. And as it drifts away again, then we bring it back, just with the intent of doing so or with the help of using some technique. Asking the question, who is thinking? Hey, who am I? And there you are right again. Breathing consciously. Instead of thinking, instead of fighting with the thoughts, just redirect the attention to your breathing. Breathe in, breathe out, relax, and you're right here. Consciously aware, consciously alive. It helps if we have every day some time where we are doing nothing else, where we can put the undivided attention to simply that simple task of consciously being here now. and learn to let go in it, learn to relax. But then meditation should go on. Even if we get up, even if we are amongst people, whenever we remember, whenever we see how the attention is so completely absorbed either by the situation we are in or then just by our daydreaming about the past, the future, and all the castles that we are building in the sky, that we just return the attention to that basic fact that is always there, but is overlooked, but is there prior to everything else. That sense of presence that we are touching when we say I. That sense of presence that the devotee touches, opening the heart to God. That sense of presence that the yogi feels more and more by calming down the energies, by balancing the energies, by turning this psychophysical manifestation into a harmonious ball of energy. Now, Marie, she asked me, well, she didn't really ask exactly a question. She said she was always wondering whether she's with the classical meditation has difficulty because her mind is too active. But what is that classical meditation? Everybody will give you a bit another interpretation what it is all about. Simply be. Simply be here now, timelessly now, as good as you can, no matter what you're doing. And then spend every day some time where you are doing nothing else, but just focusing on that simple task in one way or another. Now, her objection is also that she understands when she sits down for meditation that there is always an expectation that something should happen. And recently it just so happened, it just so worked out that she felt, okay, I just sit here quiet and enjoy the quiet and let go in the quiet. And somehow it seems to have gone through what I'm talking about when I say relax. Do you ask whether that is meditation? Yes, that is meditation. But every time you consciously redirect the attention back to yourself, not to your me personality, to that awareness of being alive that is prior to any thoughts and feelings and actions. Every time you do that, you can say you are meditating. In the beginning, and sometimes it may take a long time, it seems to be a struggle because the habit is so strong to go all over the place. The habit is so strong to get caught up in the things that are going on in our personal life, in the world, worrying about them, being afraid, having a lot of desires of things that should happen in my personal life, that should happen in the life, in the world, and completely overlooking what is here, that treasure that is never absent. We are like people who are complaining about their poverty. They don't know that there is a treasure buried in their backyard. Just unearth it, and the poor days are over. The habit is so strong that it may take time. And the influence is so strong, strongly agitated, that it's no wonder that it's not so easy to simply drop the thinking, to simply redirect the attention and stay rooted in that. But every time we are doing that, even if we are not very successful, every time the attempt is already there, that is making it already a little bit easier. When one is in the middle of it, sometimes it's not obvious, because sometimes when we get quieter, then the attention sinks deeper into the subconscious, and there are maybe bubbles stored with a lot of agitation, with a lot of attachment, energy that is locked into it. And then when we become quieter, suddenly it has a chance to come to the surface. And instead of getting more quiet, we may get quite agitated for some time. If that is happening, don't worry. Basically, it simply means you have stepped further into the subconscious. You're getting closer. And so when it happens, then we have to deal with it. And we should not try to desperately control it and analyze it too much and do things with it, but just learn to observe the thoughts that come up, the feelings that come up, learn to observe what they are doing to the experience right now on all the levels. And then when we see that, the detachment becomes easier and easier to just not getting caught up in it, to just relax instead of building up tensions. And like that, stored up knots that are there, energetic and mental and intellectual knots that also manifest physically many times, they are relaxing and evaporating. This peace of simply being is always present. It's the ground. It's the background against which we are aware of all the movements, of all the noise, of all that is happening. And we can bring the attention back to that peaceful ground and still be aware what's going on, and still, as a manifestation, be active in this manifestation without losing the contact. And the way to that is to just remind ourselves again and again and again, when we catch the attention, being astray, being all over the place, being panicked, being full of desires, being just irritated, agitated, most of the time, to bring that attention back and dive into that peacefulness. It's not that we have to become apathic and try not to be aware of anything. It's not that we have to create a wall around ourselves. All the troubles, all the problems come because we create a wall around our petty personality. Think that's me, that's what I am. I have to protect it. No, simply to become more and more aware that there is continuously that that unfathomable peace that is full of knowledge, of potential, of creativity. It's often called also the emptiness because it's empty of manifested content. For the mind, it looks empty, but at the same time, that emptiness is full to the brim with all the potential. And it's always at hand. It's there for the asking. We just have to get enough interested in it. Now, Marie, you are on the right track, but don't be sort of not happy with yourself when you feel that there is a sort of expectation when you sit down. Simply don't get obsessed with it on the mental level. After all, there is that yearning for fulfillment, that yearning for peace. It's there in everybody because if it's not there, if we are not experiencing that, then we feel that there is something missing. And we feel that because deep down in our subconscious, we know our true nature is that fulfillment, is that peacefulness. This is an aspect of it. And it's our birthright to experience that, but somehow something has gone a bit astray and we have gotten caught in a mechanism that makes us feel that we are totally separate from that and we separate from each other. And somehow we have to learn to undo all that wrong conditioning that has happened and come back home to our natural state. It's not there for some privileged ones. It's there for everybody. So nothing wrong with that yearning to come home. Nothing wrong if that is also there in meditation, but not in a egoistic personal way. My experiences was for a long time. I was really yearning for freedom, yearning to liberate myself, yearning for another way of existing, yearning for something I didn't know what it is, called enlightenment. Not quite getting that, yes, that yearning is all right. I don't have to give that up. But I have to stop identifying that with a me personality who wants something just to be something more, to be more powerful, more informed, more something. Just when that yearning is there, then don't dismiss it. Oh, expectation is there. Never mind if that yearning is there. You can take that yearning and flow along with it right back to that peacefulness. It's not that we have to artificially kind of stamp on it and say, no, 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 every expectation is disturbing me. We don't have to build up concrete expectations and think this should happen, that should happen, have sort of quite an agenda. Always really thinking that I'm just improving my personality, that I can do greater things as a person in this world and maybe in subtler levels. It's that identification with a personality that feels separate that has to go. So we have to direct that yearning back to the source and not into personal glory. And then the yearning is not a disturbance, but is a help. It's a vehicle that can bring the attention very speedily back to that which is. So there is that expectation in the mind, having concrete concepts and ideas, what should happen, and then desperately trying to get there without practice or hope that somebody comes and brings it. Or there is that simple natural yearning to come home, to be complete, because we know that's what is the reality. Somewhere we know. We have forgotten it. But this is what we really are. And to yearn to come home is not distracting one from meditation. It can really be the meditation that helps you to come back. You don't have to now artificially try to yearn. Be quiet, be here. And somewhere deep down, that yearning to be complete is there until this becomes the direct experience. And even then, the yearning will be there, not more to reach anything, but simply to intensify and expand the experience. But that will be blissful. That will be not something that creates troubles. That will be not something that makes the attention again deviate from its source, but rather helps it to get established better and better until it simply cannot forget it any longer. Meditation is everything that helps us, helps our attention to come back to the source. And of course, sitting quietly, doing nothing is a great way to go about it. But simply if we keep that doing nothing alert and not start to dream away and feel, we are having nice time in meditation, having some nice feelings and dreaming some spiritual dreams. Having the courage not to always think, having the courage not to always hold on to something that I need that in order to continue to exist, having the courage to just let it go and become aware nothing is needed, everything is there, nothing can be lost. That which is cannot die, cannot be annihilated, nothing can hurt it. And every attempt to bring the attention back to that, that's what I call meditation. And if somebody feels, this is somehow just not happening, not working out, if I simply try to sit quiet and do nothing, there is absolutely nothing wrong. Picking up one way to go about it. One simple action and repeat that action over and over and over again. And gradually that neutralizes all that habit that the mind is always active with something or other. And that very action in itself will make the attention dissolve into that peacefulness eventually. Okay, my friends, I'm leaving now the subject and I'm asking you, as usual, is there anybody who would like to come in and say something? Please do so.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hello, Vikas, Hari Om.
Werner, I was reading the book by Annamalai, who was a disciple of Ramana Maharshi.
Yes.
And in his book, he says that there is something called as laya, wherein a person becomes very lazy, or he gets into some kind of trance, and he says that that is not good for spiritual progress. Now, whenever we are doing meditation or chanting, there is some kind of peace, and we tend to go into sleep. Now, how do we know that it is laziness, or it is a transient phase?
Mm.
And uh, is that a incorrect thing? How do we not go into that layer thing which he
Yeah,
talks about?
just about the expression laya, it's used in different ways by different people. Obviously, Annamalai Swami used it in a very particular way. That laya is that when one gets rather shuts down and gets drowsy. But often the word laya is also used that you just are in that thoughtless state. And you can be in a thoughtless state and very alert, not getting lazy, not getting drowsy, and then that laya is not a hindrance. In contrary, it's a good base that there something more can happen. But in the context how you described it, obviously how Annamalai Swami has used it, it means that tendency that in meditation it happens easily that one gets tired and slowly, without recognizing it too much, slips into a state from where one easily falls asleep or starts dreaming away. And of course, that is not very helpful. When you become aware that you are there, simply come back to that alertness. But everybody who has tried to sit and meditate knows about that, that sooner or later comes the moment one feels tired and has the tendency to fall asleep. And it's also not so surprising because it's taking meditation in the beginning, it's going the same way that we are going when we go to sleep on purpose. When somebody is tired, then they prepare the bed that they are comfortable, lie down, try to forget about the body, and try to withdraw the attention from all the mental stuff. And eventually, on the way, suddenly it makes bang, and one sleeps. And in meditation, we are also doing that. We may keep the body a bit more erect than when we go to sleep. That helps also to keep the attention here, not to fall asleep. But otherwise, it's also the process of letting go, withdrawing the attention from what's going on in the mind, from the problems in the professional world, from the problems in the family, and simply be here. And then out of old habit, that when we do that, one slips into the unconscious. It comes again, time and again. And what we can do is that when we become aware of it, then somehow use a means to wake up the attention, to get it interested enough again, to, to come out of that slippery way of falling into the unconsciousness and come back to alertness. But laya, if you understand it as that thoughtless state, is not a hindrance. It's helpful. We don't have to be obsessed with it and no thought at all. But if we are learning not to get so interested in the thoughts that they go through the mind, then they are quietening down by itself. And if they stop, it's not a negative state. In contrary, it's, but we have to somehow be careful to keep the alertness, to keep the awareness. Not also, even if we don't fall asleep, it's easy then to fall a bit into a dreamy state and have to these kind of nice thoughts and nice feelings. And it's like a spiritual stream that goes on, and one can have the feeling, oh, I'm doing a nice meditation because it feels good. And nothing wrong with feeling good in meditation, but there, again, it's rather a little numbing experience that we just slip again in mental activity. And so, one way or another, even if the thoughts getting less and less, and even if they stop, that we learn to keep that alertness. And then Laya is not an obstacle.
Thank you, Werner. Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come? Hello, Lutz.
Hello, Werner. Um, you are talking about meditation, but I miss the concentration.
Yeah.
I myself, I found that always a little bit boring, this approach which you suggest.
Yeah.
Just kind of sitting, being aware. Of course, after some time, there's some sleepiness, and eventually, if one endures for some time, one gets into a kind of different space, and one feels kind of refreshed and maybe not so attached to the usual personality, and problems are less problematic, and one feels kind of refreshed to continue life. In this way, I experienced my attempts to meditate in the way you described.
Yeah.
Of course, I did not put so much energy into this path like you. I mean, completely not. Maybe once in a while, half an hour, and maybe an hour, and something. I did not. I never had any kind of continuous practice in. I never did the method you described in a continuous way.
Yeah.
For me, always what kind of kept me going with spirituality, or with an attempt to live a completely different life, were intense experiences during some sort of more focused meditations or focused practices,
Mm.
where usually in the presence of a teacher, some extreme things happened which completely were shattering my identification with my personality and with my whole life or being. It was just bang, like a nuclear explosion, and then I experienced something greater than me, and something more happy, and something more free. And unfortunately, these things they happened, but I could not kind of at will trigger them again. They came as a present, or as a very unforeseeable event.
Yeah.
But yet, still, these things they kept me going. When I started to lose my path, sort of, and get very much involved in the usual life, somehow in my back, always I felt, "Ooh, there's also this kind of, there's something different, and maybe this something different is very important for you. But what I want to say is to induce this experiences always certain a concentration and intensity and in extreme intensity and concentration were happening before.
Yeah.
And then usually either I let the intense concentration and focus go and kind of giving up, but then it happened on its own somehow. But before, always usually there was some intensity, some focus. And I don't know if I understood Patanjali properly, but in his description of his yoga method, there's this dhyana and this samadhi. So this dhyana is not focused attention, very intensely focused attention before something mysterious, this samadhi can happen.
Right. You're perfectly right. It is focused attention. What you're describing is not opposite to what I'm talking about. It's simply when we concentrate with willpower, then it's always heavy work. And we rather, instead of getting relaxed, have the tendency bringing ourselves into attention. And of course, this does harness energy that is favoring that after that you can experience something or other that you're describing. Well, what I'm talking about is that we are coming to that focused attention gently, slowly, but steadily, and that it's not only happening when we sit down and with will force focus on it, but that it becomes more and more a general state in a relaxed way, and then it stays instead of coming and going and coming and going. Because if you are doing what I'm talking about, if you bring the attention again and again back and learn to relax in that, then you are focusing more and more, but without getting all worked up about it, without all that tension that is involved in it. Maybe it has less the tendency to have create wild experiences, but it has more the tendency that when something happens, then it's like it's laying more the terrain that after that something can shift and stay instead of just coming as an experience and then it goes again and you're back in your struggle again. So you can do both. You do when you want to your wild concentration and try for the rest of the time, also when you are not sitting, to remember to do that what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's sounds like a sane way to go about it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. Basically, you answered my question by pointing out the kind of different attitude and a different result.
Well, it's not, it's good that we talk about it because it seems to you as if there are two very different things. And actually, I rather say, okay, that they can go hand in hand together. They are two aspects of the same movement, And sometimes you sit down and focus strongly, and the rest of the time you focus by relaxing instead of making an effort. And the more you can maintain that relaxed focus, desto stronger it will also support you when you go for the full concentration. And it helps to set the stage. The things are not so easily disappearing again. I mean, an experience is very inspiring, and the memory is also inspiring. You said when you are involved and then lost in the worldly stuff, still you remember somehow. So for that, they are very helpful. But still, they come, they go, and after that, the tendency is to find oneself again in the same stories, in the same stuff. And if we learn to meditate, not only when we meditate, to gently just remind ourselves to just bring the attention back, then one can learn to get less and less overwhelmed by all these little games that come along in our story.
Yeah, beautiful words, but they gain depth because you're also living that. I mean, if we just talk about these things is one thing, but I think there's also not. I feel there's some different aspect. You're also radiating this kind of stillness. So that's for me an assurance that it is real and that I can attune myself a little bit to that. I want to say that in words, actually, this can it's the words are not appropriate to describe. One can say, but the words will not change me. But because you are you, and I'm interacting with you, or you are not you in some way. That's why I feel this very precious.
Yeah. That's also what Satsang is about. The words you could read in a book, but when we sit together and we talk, then the words actually is the smaller part that is happening. And the connection that we are making is that communication that counts more.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Wish you well, Lutz. Hari Om, Hari Om. There is Andreas. Hello, Andreas.
Hello, Werner. When I sit in the small meditation room in the Ramana ashram,
Yeah,
there's some vibe coming through.
yeah,
Like, I mean, it usually takes like 20 minutes, and then I get like a smile in my face, and one part of me gets this vibration, and sometimes I'm completely caught up in some mental story.
yeah,
So I'm not really focused on like my breath or uh, like I wouldn't normally say that I'm having a good meditation, but it's the
yeah,
vibe is still there, and sometimes it's the same when I'm meditating at home. It's like going back and forth. That some part is settling, and this smile is coming up, and some like my something is opening. But on the other hand, there's still this ramba 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 going on,
yeah, yeah.
and I try in the Ramana ashram to focus on the vibe or on the um, presence. I can't sustain it very long. I just can shortly focus on that, and then my mind comes back in and says, "No, no, no."
Yeah.
Okay, can you say something?
Well, it's just the old habit of thinking all the time and feeling insecure when the thoughts are ceasing. Something is afraid of that because we have the habit, build up the habit so strong to link our sense of identity in what we are thinking about all the time. And then when it's disappearing, then suddenly there is fear. Oh, then I also disappear. And so uh, the habit comes and forces us, even if you feel what you call that vibe. And then instead of staying just with that and focusing on that and be, then comes the mind again and pushes the attention away, partly out of fear of getting annihilated. The fear of the unknown, as long as we think all the time, it may be hard, our life, it may be terrible in so many ways, it may be we are suffering a lot, but at the same time, it's so cozy and familiar. Because we feel, we know, we know that we stand somehow on top of it. It's oh, we can overlook it, but then when we start to get closer to that silence, then this starts to crumble, and there is that fear of something unknown, something we cannot control, something we are not on top of it. But that fellow who wants to control, who wants to be on top of it, has to somehow capitulate and accept, okay, after all, that me is just a momentary reflection of what I really am. And somehow we have to convince the attention that this is more interesting than the other. So, do you focus on whether you are in Ramanashram or whether you are in Germany at home? When that comes, you focus on that as good as you can. And when you become aware how the attention is going along with the chatter, then return. Say, no, it's not interesting. I'm not interested. Bring the attention back to that sense of presence and to that experience of what you called the vibe is coming.
Um, is there an energetic aspect to it? Because sometimes you say like your nervous system has to like get used to it in a way, and
Yes.
sometimes it feels a little bit that I can't handle that.
Yeah. But we can handle more than we think. Usually. But yes, of course, there is an energetic aspect when you get into that state, when that current comes, then there is much stronger energy flowing through this psychophysical manifestation. But that also can give a little bit fear. Oh, I can't stand it. But if we learn to relax in it, you can stand more. And if you relax again, you can stand even more. And if you relax again, you can again stand more. But if we get all tense about it, then of course we cannot stand it. And then this manifestation is sort of like maturing, that you can stand stronger and stronger energies without getting ruffled by it. Even now, today, you may experience things when you walk gently through the crowd with an intensity that would have uh, blown you out of your balance 10 years ago. but it has gradually matured in such a way that you are not even aware of it.
Okay. So basically, what I can do is just relax and open up.
Yes. I mean, just before we talked with Lutz, you can concentrate. But then if we concentrate with will, it's always sooner or later we can't anymore. And for that, I rather favor the approach that you learn to relax, because there you can continue. You can continue. The approach that you get yourself in a strain, then at a certain point when it's can just not do anything anymore. And then maybe when one relaxes, all kinds of experiences may come for some time. But if you learn, if that intensity comes, instead of being all tied up in it, learn to relax in it, and actually you are opening up that intensity can grow, can intensify.
Yes, training never really worked very well for me. It's and I mean, you even said like that. I mean, the special experience seemed to come when you give up this training.
Yeah. But still, I mean, I think when you started out, you did need that, because otherwise it would have been, as Lutz expressed it, too boring just to keep quiet and relax into that. So it's also now a more matured way of approaching that, that now you don't want to strain and strain, but that you are open, that you can increase that intensity by letting go instead of by trying to do something.
Is there a difference between young and old, or like middle-aged people? That like, because there's a quote from Suzuki Roshi that he says like that young people have to strain.
You cannot make a general statement like this, but it comes with maturity that you need not necessarily strain as much. And usually that maturity happens as the age is increasing, but you can find very mature souls in a very young body also. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hariom. Hariom.
Adios.
Is there anybody else who would like to come in?
Yeah, hi.
Hello, Lila.
I connected very much to the question that Lutz brought up.
Yeah.
Also, a little bit of what Andreas have just spoken about. And specifically the last question about the age, like the life experience, how does it support or does not support? But I wouldn't even call it the practice, more support, acceptance and joy, and somehow taking easy stuff and so on. I have always struggled with meditation, actually, the way they taught us. You know that I sat so many retreats, long ones and shorter.
Yeah.
Always struggling with the meditation. And also with the question like the connection between this and happiness or joy or letting go or connection. I remember the last retreat I went to. I just, it was a self-retreat here in Israel. And after a few days, I just couldn't do it any longer. I had to go. I had to go home.
Yeah.
Actually, it happened to me in one retreat before that. I didn't know what I was doing there. Sitting, walking, etc. So, and as I said, there was a lot of struggle and difficult emotions, and I will never be able to do it. And then I'm asking now to do what? And then I listen to you, what you always say in every meeting, just connect, just connect.
Mm.
And I can't decide to connect. I mean, either it happens or not. So I guess what I have experienced recently is that I am connected and I feel so much more safer in the way I live my life, I would say, or the way I follow life as it comes. Maybe it's better to say. And the strength and the stability, and in a way, easygoing also.
Mhm. Can I say something?
Yeah, because I don't really have a question, so yeah.
There, you just said a little moment ago, you cannot decide whether to connect or not. Either it happens or it doesn't happen.
Okay.
Right? I can agree with that, but you can decide that you consciously turn the attention in the right direction. You cannot decide whether you are successful or not, but you can decide when you become aware that your attention is going all over the place, that you are not just waiting until it happens by itself, but that you consciously redirect the attention. And sometimes it works and sometimes it may not work. But if you do that, if you decide again and again to do that little action, to make that little effort, to remind yourself to redirect the attention, then you are opening up that it is happening more and more frequently, spontaneously by itself.
Probably I'm not aware that I'm actually doing it.
Yes.
I'm not aware. Like when I meditate, and then they tell you to sit and to not move. So I know when I move, then I know I'm aware. Okay, now you moved, so go back to stability. But to direct the attention, to redirect the attention, it's an act that I'm not sure. I guess I do it. I know I do it, but I'm not sure I know how I do it and when I do it.
Yeah, yeah. But every time, I mean, with all the practices that you did, every time you put your attention on the body sensations consciously, every time you put your attention consciously on breathing, that's when you were redirecting the attention from just roaming around somewhere, bringing it to the present and learn to connect there.
Mm. Okay. Since there wasn't a question, then that it's clearer now because I spoke like, yeah,
Right.
so it's
And
clearer now.
you said with the life experience, of course, then it comes. It should come that if we are living our life consciously, many people live their life very not conscious, and then unfortunately, even their life experience is not bringing much of insight or depth. That it's not enough the experience itself to really go deeper. Something somewhere is still accumulating, but the mind may then become very bitter also for the long experience, always hoping for some happiness and always eluding, and then after that there is a lot of bitterness left. It's the life experience brings us deeper when we go through it consciously and not half asleep. When we start to look what's going on, see where we are acting in ways that become invariably destructive, and learn not to do those anymore. See when we are acting, thinking, and feeling in ways that is supporting, that it is become easier to be harmonious and connecting. In that way, life experiencing is teaching a lot. If we go through it alert, awake, if we go through it half asleep, it need not necessarily help to go then after that to go deeper.
Mm. So why wouldn't more people, like majority of the people, I guess, do what you just described now? Why
Mhm.
wouldn't more people maybe would want to practice and describe and,
That's the
and get
power of
connected?
That's the power of Maya. That's how strongly that influence has been there in this world. That always promising that if you just go for these things, then you find happiness, then you find fulfillment, even if they would look at it a bit more clearly, very quickly would learn it doesn't bring it. But then that Maya comes again and again. Yeah, just try. Maybe next time. Maybe next time it works.
Simple, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Carry on. Carry
Hari
on.
Om.
Hi, Werner.
Hello, Nava.
Hi. You just said now to bring the attention, this is what you say, bring the attention back to the breath and bring it back to the body.
Yeah,
Sometimes the awareness seems to be like that, sort of focused somewhere in the body,
yeah,
but sometimes it seems to be very wide.
yeah,
It's not getting lost. It's just, it's like everything that is around is in my attention.
yeah.
Can you say something about those two different things?
Yes. Now, what I said right now to Leela is because I know she did a lot of that Vipassana practice. And part of it is exactly uh, observing the body sensations, one way to bring the attention to the present. Then one should not get stuck there with this kind of experience, but then turn the attention more and more to that which makes the experience possible. And sometimes you may feel that what brings your attention to the present is a far wider, far larger thing than the body and body sensations. And if it works to connect, then it's perfectly valid. It's not really uh, you do this or you do that. Whatever helps you to bring the attention back to that and open up to that mystery of existence, and you feel the connection is totally valid, whether you focus on body sensations or whether that focus is more uh, larger, also the body and the surroundings. It's easier for most of the people to focus consciously use it as a help to redirect, to focus on body sensations, because those are easily experienced, while the rest is not so easily experienced.
I'm finding that more and more. I also come from a background with Vipassana, and I'm just finding it all much too complicated, and finding that I go much simpler. Like just sitting with the breath and just
Yes.
starting to, after hearing you say this for years, I'm finally starting to do the relax.
Yeah.
I'm not, it's taken a while to get there. But one thing I've learned, and again, I'm sort of feeling all of it's complicated, but I still have a question mark about it. With Vipassana, we're told, let's say there's a difficulty. You focus, you can put your focus right on it. Something else I was taught, which was not that at all, was take that difficulty and put it into a greater awareness so that it loses some of its importance and it actually becomes smaller within something bigger. Can you say something about that as well?
What do you mean by taking that difficulty into awareness? Do you not mean the same thing that I always say, okay, become aware, let it happen, but then just don't get overwhelmed, but instead of that, observe what it is doing? Is that what you mean by taking it into awareness?
In part, initially what I was taught was really focus on it.
Yes,
Really put your full attention there.
right.
And then the opposite thing I was taught was, okay, that difficulty is there, if it's physical or emotional, whatever. But see that it's just within a greater awareness.
Okay, now I get it. There are also there is the idea that there are basically like two approaches. That either you detach, or you go fully into it, go fully into it.
Mm-hmm.
But as usual, those two different approaches are not as different as they appear in the first moment. In the first initial stage, how to go about it, there is a difference. But if you really focus on something and go into it, go into the emotion, then you're really bringing the attention to the present, and there automatically you connect with that immovable aspect of you that is observing all the time. That observation is happening in the present all the time. And when I say just let it come and observe, then in a way I try to direct you to just connect with that immovable aspect of you that is observing all the time. But if you really go into the emotions, if you go into whatever is going on in the mind, leave it fully, then you have to leave it now. And in that now, you're also connecting with that same immovable aspect. Invariably, because leaving something to the full is only possible in the only one place where you're really living, in that timelessness of the now. All right, it's slightly a different approach in the beginning, but the two are not opposites. It's bringing you, connecting you to the same immovable aspect from where you can see the intensity of the emotion and what it is doing. And then if you connect with that and stay with that connection, the emotion is working out itself and disappears eventually.
When I meditated this morning, I was really troubled by something, and I left all of that behind. And I just sat there. And when I felt some tension, I just relaxed it.
Yeah.
And it went away very quickly. And I thought, is that it? You know, I don't have to do more than that. It's what I was saying. I'm finding all of that way too complicated these days. And I just, and I heard you in my head, okay, relax your legs. And so I relaxed my legs. And then I felt the tension in my arms, and it was all to do with what was troubling me. And it just like melted.
Mm.
And this was before, and it just seems so much more to the point right now, and it's not complicated, which is, I think, as I get older, less complication seems much better.
Right. But that is the difficulty of the simple things, that the mind has a bit difficulties to accept that it could be so simple, and then makes it more complicated again.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Isn't there more? Isn't there? It's always, isn't there more?
How could it be that this is enough to just see something and let it go?
Yeah. I listened to somebody posted your satsang from Tuesdays.
Yeah.
And I heard you saying this about someone who for years you had told her, just relax it.
Yeah.
And she finally did. And she came to you and said, oh, it was incredible. I finally did it. And
Yes.
that's what I thought of when I sat down to meditate this morning.
Yeah.
Just keep it simple. And yeah.
Right. That woman before was coming to me privately and saying, I always think you always repeated this kind of stuff. Relax your leg. And how could it, what has it to do with anything? How could it possibly do anything? And had that block to not even sincerely try about it until eventually it happened, and then she was just blown away how effective such simple actions can be.
Yeah. It's exactly how it felt this morning.
Yeah.
And my mind keeps saying there has to be more. And I keep saying, just, let it be.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there is always infinity beyond, but in order that there is that base that can open up to it, we have to find that silent spot. And basically, it would be very simple, very easy to just come back to that and stay in it. But our complicated mind, our mind that is always going on and on, cannot so easily accept it. And the habit is so strong to always be busy with something. Because of that, it seems to be so difficult. But basically, really, it should not be difficult. It should be natural.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you, Werner.
You're welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om. My experience really over the years is that the simplest practice or the most powerful, if we have that patience to practice them. If we don't think just in the first moment and think, yeah, so a simple thing like that cannot possibly do something helpful. The mind is trained that we have to struggle and then something comes out of it. And so to accept that it could be simple how to go about it is very difficult. One man also, after Satsang, he said, you often say, it's basically not difficult, it's simple. But how can you dare to talk like this? You have been struggling for years. So don't come and tell us it's simple. And I told him, yes, I've been struggling for years because I couldn't accept the simplicity of it, and I didn't have the patience to simply go about it. So it has been a struggle. But I'm not saying it's easy for everybody, because our minds are so used to be full of tensions, to be active, to be overactive, that it seems impossible to simply turn away and let it go. But what I'm basically asking people to try, that is not difficult. That's what I mean. Not that your path is just easy. Often it's not easy, but it's not easy because our mental immaturity, because we have been fixing the attention so much on the mind, how it is functioning. And what is the mind? The mind is just how we are thinking all the time. What emotions that we are producing with our thoughts, what thoughts are being produced by our emotions. And if we have been indulging in ways that create tensions, that create obstacles, so it seems to be so difficult. But when I say sometimes to people, but it's not difficult. When I say to them, but it's basically simple what we need to do, then I mean really what I say. That which needs to be done is very simple. We just have to have the sincerity to pick it up and then to go about it and again and to keep going and have the patience and the perseverance to keep up with it. That is difficult for the mind. It's not difficult in itself, but it's difficult for the mind. But what needs to be done is basically simple. There is a little more time. If somebody wants to come in and say something, you are welcome to do so. Hello, Leela, once more.
Yeah, so what you just said now is it's in a way very simple. Like at the same time, we seem to hold on to our ideas, our thoughts, our wishings, our wantings, our whatever. And at the same time, we also want to free ourselves from all that.
Yes.
And yeah, you say yes, so I don't have to say no more. So it's like it feels like it needs a magic, or in my experience, maybe like what happened to me a month ago, that like shook my life, and things like that happened to me before also. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Like, I'm on the path somehow, but as if I needed something really, really dramatic to shake my system, asking me, what do you really want? Do you want to be happy, or do you want to keep on holding on to what needs to be done, what is right, what is wrong, blah, blah, blah.
Yes. And that is the tendency that we need to be shaken up every now and then. It need not be like this. If that alertness is there to observe what we are doing, that, right, you mentioned that on the one hand, we want to free ourselves. On the other hand, we don't want to give up those things that give us the feeling that we are not free. But if we observe, if we are honest, if we look at ourselves, how we are functioning, what we are doing, then we become aware what kind of contradictions we are producing that creates the tensions that prevent us from simply natural being. And if we don't want to listen to that and are not so alert, then often it needs that life comes and destiny comes and gives us a good slap on the head and shakes us up. And then the openness is there again. Okay, let's go deeper.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be very alert and still destiny may bring you quite some shakes. But the tendency is that we can avoid a lot of problems with alertness, and we are asking rather for trouble if we are not alert. Hari Om, Hari Om.
Yeah.
We need to meditate. So many schools say we need to meditate. But that doesn't mean everybody has to go into meditation retreats and break their bones sitting. Not everybody has to do full-time meditation, sitting, sitting, sitting. We can take that word in a larger sense. Basically, naturally, it should be so that we are effortlessly in that natural state. But it is not so. It is not so in this world. There is such an influence that we are learning to cheat ourselves. While growing up, we are being influenced how to behave, how to function, and it becomes so normal. It's not really normal, it's usual, but it's so normal, so usual that we also function like that. And what should be natural is covered up more and more and more. And so we don't get around. There's no point then in thinking, okay, my natural state is effortless consciousness, effortless beingness, and then not make any effort. We don't have to make a bone-breaking effort to break the walls, but we have to make at least that little effort again and again and again to remind ourselves, to catch our attention, to learn to observe, to learn to look at ourselves honestly and see what we are doing, and then learn not to do those things anymore that create pain, that create suffering, that are destructive. I wish you all well. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.